From Erie Zone Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Wow, look at that. They get the wide-angle lens on today.
And holiday. We have
Yes.
holiday colors.
Well, these are my snow shoveling colors.
Well, we had enough of that.
I spent the whole morning shoveling my driveway by.
I'm Mark Alexandrovich,
Kaz Kwiatkowski,
Councilman-elect.
Yep, and
Ed Brzezinski, Erie School Board.
wow. What a trio that is, huh?
Kind of
Beautiful house.
a little special reason for Mr. Brzezinski to be with us today, and that is to kind of tell everybody what's going on with the school district, and we happened to talk during the, the swearing in of the new school board members.
Right.
And I had asked Ed about his plans with the school board, and he told me that he has agenda that he would like to see come into place. And I said, I would love to have you on the program to share that. It's just another point of view, and this is how things happen when someone has an idea, and if they stick with it long enough. And obviously in government you have to push awful hard to get this much progress.
The wheels turn slowly.
Yeah, to say the least. But we're going to turn the program over to Mr. Brzezinski to give us his thoughts, and then we'll open up the phone lines so people can call and ask you questions about what the school district is doing.
Okay. I'm gonna need some help here, guys.
Oh, yeah, we're behind you all the way, Ed.
Thanks, guys. Sounds like Vietnam, huh? Anyway, this is a very exciting time and a frightening time, too, a tough economic time. There's so many things that we want to do, but the dollar bill only stretches so far. I've got a couple pet projects. I think an overview, first of all, what we're trying to do is make sure that every single child that we have in our district gets the same type of education. You know, for years, people have been saying, if you're up at Collegiate Academy, you get everything. Well, we want to make sure everything that we can possibly give will be given to all of our kids. That being said, we have to downsize. You know, we have, I think, 3,500 empty seats in the high schools. I'm not advocating closing a high school, but we've got to do something to move things around and make it more efficient so that we can bring back music. I mentioned the other day that I was at a ball game. Oil City, a smaller town in Erie, came to the stadium, and at halftime they had a beautiful band. I bet you they had 60, 70 people in there. In fact, there was even a football player that was banging a drum. And we don't have a beautiful band like we used to. You know, things like that, unfortunately, have gone by the wayside because of money.
Well, one of the problems you have with the city is that we play football twice a week. No, I mean, I'm going to explain.
Okay.
I had a son and a daughter that were in the band, the old bands,
Right.
when we had the three biggies,
Right.
not the one unified. The common the thought process that was wrong was that they were a football band. See, and the problem was, and this is where I used to fight with some of the board members, they are a competition band. Now, what happens on the county, because you're not going to get 100 and some kids to go out for the band unless there's something in there for them. And Saturday night is the way that they did around the state. They set up for competition night.
Oh, okay.
But our problem is that our kids, you know, where you see them Friday night, they're doing a warm-up. Okay, they're doing a show for the locals, a warm-up, and then they're taking that same show on the road Saturday night. Our band, a lot of times, had to come back for, there was a lot of infighting, you know, to allow them to miss the football game to go to the big competitions, which were held on a Saturday.
Okay.
And these are the ones that lead to the national championship that Academy won one year.
Well, if there's ever a time for those bands to come back,
Yeah.
if you see the crowds that we get at stadium,
I think if there was a
That's
way
not an
that if we could, the bands were never against playing Friday night. The problem was when they were forced to give up their competition. Because they've grown a lot more from the band when I was in high school. You know, these kids are doing things that you see the colleges doing.
oh, they're good, yeah. General McLean a few years ago was down in Orlando. They went to Disney World to be part of the thing.
Yeah, we should take our kids out every 2 years at Disney World.
These are dreams that we
Yeah.
can all have. But anyway, getting
But
to
I'll
my,
get- yeah.
my specific part, I have two arenas that I watch closely with the kids. One, of course, is athletics, and I think we need to do something there to make us much more competitive than we are, and to still offer everything to everybody. And that's in the works. Mr. Dahlstrand and those folks are getting together and trying to find a way to make it work. We have what they call co-ops now, where we might be able to put two schools together for some sports. You know, we don't really have a tennis team, we don't really have a golf team that can compete in the city, but if we brought all the kids from all three of our schools, we might have a solid golf team, a solid tennis team. You know, a lot of the kids from prep, as an example, you know, they cut their teeth at Kakwa. They're playing golf when they're 10 years old. You know, God love them. Our kids at least should have an opportunity to get on a golf course and find out if they like it, because it's something they can take with them. Number one thing, and it's been a reason why I ran originally, and that's the VOTEC. Right now, there are way too many kids, not only at the VOTEC, but in our other high schools, that are walking out the door the last day of school, and the most frightening noise they hear is the door slamming behind them. They know they can't go back because they just graduated, but they have no idea where they're going. We need to give our kids skills. You know, back in the day, way back, when I first started teaching and coaching at East, I would talk to the guys and I'd say, I can get you to school. You can, you know, you're good enough to play ball and get a scholarship and go to college. And they'd say, V, I can go to Hammermill and work with Grandpa, or I could go with my uncle up at Kaiser Aluminum, Inland Container. I could go to any of these places and make more money than you're making right now. And they were right. In the early 70s, it was all there. Today, it's not. So if we don't have skills in hand, we have somebody trying to work at McDonald's, and that's, you know, it's worthy of the person because they want to work, but it's not a life-sustaining type wage. I've been advocating, and that's the reason I ran 8 years ago, we should have at least a 13th grade at Central, where we can make them, I call them shovel-ready, I guess. The kids can walk in, get that final year. If they want to look at college, then we can maybe partner up with Gannon or Mercyhurst and have remedial type courses, excuse me, so that the kids can prepare themselves for college. What's happening now is a lot of our kids, yes, they're going to college, and they're lasting a half a semester or a semester, and they're dropping out because they don't have the study skills, the self-esteem, and the goal planning that they need to have to be successful. And it's a crying shame. Normal, you know, kids coming from the major schools still face, I think the last time I checked it, 54% of all freshmen change their major 2 or 3 times before they graduate. So that's telling us that we're not doing a good job with any of our kids. You know, there's a guy, I remember when I was in high school, one of my buddies said he was going to be a dentist when he was a freshman. Now, how Tom Gellan knew he was going to be a dentist when he was a freshman, I don't know. But he did, and he's one of the best around. Those are a very, very big minority of people. I was going to school, Judge Giuliani, and that's a tip I can give the kids there. I didn't know how, as a first-generation college student in the family, I didn't know what to do if I wanted to go to law school. Judge Giuliani says, major in English so that you can handle the language. So I majored in English. And then I hooked up with teaching and coaching, and that became a big part of my life. But we've got to have that kind of connection with more and more of our kids, so they at least have an avenue, a realistic one. I talked to one of the kids at the stadium the other day, and at one of the games, and he says he's a senior, and he's going to go into criminal justice. And I said, that's wonderful. I said, where are you going to get a job? I said, we're pretty saturated around here. I said, you might want to look at going into the military, getting into the military police, and then coming back out, then you'll have a veteran's preference. You know, back in the day, when I was on city council, we would hire a group of guys, we'd send them to Meadville, they'd go through the academy, they'd come back, and then they'd go to work for us. Now, these guys pay for the academy themselves.
They want you ready.
Yeah, they come to us with all of that, the firearms, the whole bit. And I don't think our kids know that. You know, they think if they go get that piece of paper saying, I have a criminal justice degree, that I'm going to be a policeman. It doesn't happen. And we have to, in a way, we have to reach out to the parents too, because the parents have to understand how important it is that these kids challenge themselves. Anyway, that's...
But I would agree with you. I don't think we have a mechanism right now. They didn't have it when I went to school. Unless you got the right teacher that spotted you, knew your attributes. You know, you were out there wandering around thinking,
what am I going to do?
well, yeah, the guidance counselors did everything but guide you, if that's a bad word to use.
No,
But I can remember going down there trying to get college boards at Tech, you know, information on that. That was taboo. You weren't supposed to be there for that.
right.
But somewhere through my 3 years at Tech, I discovered I was never going to make a living with my hands. You know, and that I should have been spotted, you know.
Well,
And that's the thing, if I can just say one thing about that, back in our day, so to speak, education didn't worry about that middle group, because that was the group that went up to Kohler's and drove a jitney, or went to Hammermill, or went to GE, or Inland Container, like I mentioned before, or Kaiser, or 12th Street Cyrus, and they had a job, and they made good money. But it's not there anymore. And people have to open their eyes and realize that, because that's the frightening part. The kids are brokenhearted. They're not prepared for, I hate to say ugliness, but in a sense it is. It's the ugliness of the workforce, because they don't have it. Our machinists, I think the average age of a machinist in our county now is like 58 years old. And there's not a whole lot of people coming up behind it. That's why we need that 13th grade. Bring in the machines that these folks want to be trained on. We'll train them during the day, and the employer can send his people down at night for immediate help. But with the immediate help being there, we also have a reservoir coming up with our kids when they graduate. That's part of the dream.
collaborative effort with the Manufacturers Association?
Oh, definitely. Mr. Elliott also. There's all kinds of cash out there for people who have a program ready, kind of like what we did with the plan for the new schools. Now we can go down to Harrisburg and say, this is what we want to do, but we need help. If we can get Mr. Pontello, Keith, Mr. Dr. Trainer, all these guys together, Doc Gamble, and say, hey, all of you have a part in these kids because they're part of our life. Nobody has to have the whole castle. Everybody can have a room. And
You know, two programs that always caught my attention when I was on the school board just a little before you, was the plastics course and the culinary course.
right,
Both of which, Northeast Mercyhurst and
Right.
Barron have huge input.
Oh, yeah.
And we should be piggybacking with them almost. It's like, you know how many kids we could, like, I'm not talking about just people working in stamping plants. You could turn out like plastic engineers and designers.
Did you ever tour our facility over there on 19th and Holland? There's a whole kitchen there that we could put a course in there. And I'm sure that, again, I'm talking out of school a little bit because I can't say we can do it right now.
Yeah.
But the facility's right there, and we can really train them. Mr. Bukowski does a heck of a job with what he has, with the 50-year-old materials at Central. These guys have the cutting edge there, the big walk-in freezers, the big ovens, the whole
A
thing.
lot of kids love that course.
Yeah, well, it's good,
They go out
yeah.
of town, a lot of them go, we have to go to Pittsburgh pretty much.
My buddy's son is a chef for the Marriott down in Charlotte, and he went through the Mercer's Northeast thing. So, I mean, it's there. Louis Canarosi, you know Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah, his son is doing a great job.
A couple things I picked up out of the newspaper yesterday and from the internet this past week. And one of them was from yesterday's newspaper that said that the military is raising their standards, which I think, wasn't there a point in time where you can even get into the military without graduating high school?
There used to be. I think that had changed,
After Vietnam.
10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
After they
Yeah, you could get your GED or.
Right.
But
You need a body.
that a lot of people that were kind of looking for that, given a choice
A
that
way out.
either the unemployment or the military, they went into the military, but now they can't even find a home there. And
They're getting mean and lean. They're closing bases all over. And
the other thing was, I know we talked a little bit beforehand about this, an hour of code.
right.
And the interesting thing was, I think it was Friday, I found a story. Again, I do a lot of internet searching and reading. And I found a story about a homeless individual. Was on the street, and a guy walked by who was familiar with programming computers. So he went to this homeless guy, and he said, I will either give you a $100 bill now, or I will teach you code for building computer programs. The fellow that was homeless chose the latter. So the guy that made him the offer taught him how to do code and work on programs. The individual that was homeless, I think it said within 6 months, had designed an app for sharing rides, carpooling. He designed an app, and the app is for sale for $1.
Wow.
But it's out there, it's advertised, and he is doing well from that aspect.
Got a reason to be.
So, you're kind of weighing out, there was a time, I think, in our society or even our local economic environment where you had to be a machinist. You had to have a skill. Yes, you either had to have say a CDL or drive a jitney or be a machinist. Now, with where society is going, if computers shut down, society itself almost screeches to a halt. So the issue is, who is going to be able to program the computers, to repair the computers, to keep everything moving?
The good news with that too is we're starting to see that the companies are starting to come back to America. Did you happen to see Johnny Johnson and Jim Kelly on TV this week?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Johnny's a super guy, but to hook up, and being a Bills fan, he's got to be in heaven with Jim Kelly. But what he's doing now, and he'll take it another step. He's going to have Prep and Mercyhurst and the school district, whoever wants to, have those little money clips with our insignias on them. But they're going to be made here instead of in China, and that's step one. Apple is doing that too. I think people are starting to realize that corporate greed has really hurt society. They've taken away the jobs. We never worried about that middle 50% of the people you were talking about that didn't know for sure what they wanted to do, because there were jobs out there for them to take. Now, it's a multi-dimensional problem. Our kids, I don't want to say they don't have a personality, but a lot of them don't. When they're little, their parents say, don't talk to strangers. So if you walk down a mall and you see a pretty little girl or a little guy and you say hi, the first thing they do is put their head down because they don't know how to say hiya back. In a sense, it's a little bit frightening. because they carry that when they go. And life is networking. If you can't make a friend, we wouldn't be here if we weren't friends. You know, if you can't make a friend, if you can't have a smile on your face, you're going to have a tougher way to go.
And let's be truthful, we start putting people back to work, a lot of our other problems start going away.
And-
Not all of them, but I mean,
Well, sure.
And would you agree that, or disagree, that what do they call it, the extracurricular activity in schools that the kids partake in, give them the social skills or enhance the social skills, other than, I guess, running home to do video game?
Did you ever see a look on one of the kids' faces at an ASL meet when they get a third place ribbon or a second place
Yeah.
medal? It's a whole new world for them.
see, that's why I was getting you about the bands, it was the same thing. And if we could keep hundreds of kids busy, I can't imagine why, you know, we were proud to be cut from the squad, remember? Just to try out, you know. But you don't see that
They were
today.
there, exactly. Well, you're going to see talking to people.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, I'm calling about illegal dumping.
Oh,
That's Kaz's area.
yeah, where's the dumping?
West 19th Street, by Country Fair, by 19th and Sass, 18th and Sass there.
Oh, right there?
Yeah, on the south side of Country Fair, across the street, the south side of Country Fair, there's Great Lakes Rehab, and there's a vacant lot there. There's several couches and chairs, and I've reported to code enforcement. Nobody's done anything about it.
We'll call them, because believe it or not, were you here when we had that garbage on was it 23rd Street? Yeah, they took care of that. We'll jump on them. I'll take a walk upstairs. South side of the Country Fair,
19th Street there.
19th Street, right?
Right,
Right near Great Lakes Rehab.
right, on the right-hand side.
Yeah, we get, you know, there's a lot of that going around, and it's one of those things that kind of what we're talking about. It's amazing. I don't know
And one more question.
Yeah.
Where's the city plows?
Actually, they're in the inner city for the most part, from what I noticed today.
What, the city plows?
The plows. Yeah, they're
Actually, I
cleaning
think
them up.
there were plows out yesterday. I mean, inner city on Sunday.
Yeah, they were hitting the, unusual for us. They've been hitting in places that they normally didn't hit. They've already hit them a couple times. But they've got the main streets pretty well down. Why, you, spot that you want to see them hit?
Yeah, up by Green Garden, all Green Gardens, all ice covered, and all the south of West 38th Street.
So
Yeah,
Green
that's-
Garden from where to where, like 26th to 38th?
That's one of the last areas that they hit.
Right, that area there.
The new guy that they have on, I think, ice scent's a little different. This is his first winter, and I've noticed that he's got the guys out there. And,
Yeah, a lot of people said they haven't seen the truck since, I think 2 days ago.
well, I know my mother lives like at 30th Cascade. She's seen them, which is unusual, you know, for her. So there might be, you know, I will say the new guy is the new director, he's working out the kinks, you know, it's a first year. I'll bring it up to him. So it's Green Garden from where to where, that,
Above 38th Street.
above 38th?
Oh, it's from Green Garden all the way to Liberty.
Above 38th, though.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good dumping. I mean, we talked, all three of us were out 3 or 4 times since
yeah.
last night trying to clear our driveway.
Hey, be glad you don't live in, this is gonna make you feel good. Be glad you don't live in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
The capital of St. Paul, they don't even bother plowing. We are actually blessed. I'll never complain again after spending a winter there.
But the other thing is,
Yeah.
the last 2 or 3 winters have
No, I mean-
softened us around here.
Right.
I mean, you go to Minneapolis, they don't even bother.
This is a good time dumping here.
Do you know if the plows go out during the day? Since, everybody has to, work today and all the cars are gone. And I rode over several streets and no plows and it's just everything's a mess out there.
I caught him this morning on, I actually caught him in a couple places. East 38th, I saw him coming up Parade Street.
They're on 12-hour shifts, so they're...
Yeah. Last night, I saw him hitting the, I think that was a state that was on the Bayfront Highway. So, I mean, they've been out, I've been watching them. You know, there's not a lot of them, but I think, you know, I'll bring it up to,
Well,
Mr. Zisk and see what he's, you know.
we did have a lot of snow, and as
Yeah.
I mentioned, I was highly unusual that I seen a couple of trucks out yesterday on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, then I was wondering if there was a snow emergency that I,
Oh,
just missed it.
They hit all the, what I call the orphan streets up above 38th on the east side. You know, we were always at one of the last ones. They've been paying attention to them because of the hills.
So they do run on Sundays then?
They were yesterday.
They were yesterday, I think,
Yeah,
just
they're,
trying to get a jump start.
I was waving, I waved at them because I said, man, you know, first time on a weekend that I seen them that much. So, I mean, they were out there. I'll bring it up to them, you know.
Okay, hey, thanks for your time, and check out that illegal dumping on West 19th then.
Right. As for the salt, sometimes I think, I notice a pattern, and until I don't think they like to admit it, but they probably like to cut back on the salt a little bit. Mark knows that too, and
Well, but then it was, I think, 2 weeks ago, that's all they were running was the salters. The
Yeah.
blades weren't even down. Well, thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, they've been, I gotta admit, they, under the new guy, Mr. Zisk, they've been working pretty hard.
Now, we have to reach back.
Yeah.
We have to, all of us here. I remember shoveling this much snow so guests could come for Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Hey, this was a good storm.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, Mark.
How are you?
Not bad. Hey, I have a question for Ed. In January, you're going to have 2 openings, right?
2 openings for what, sir?
On the school board. Everett Tucker is going to retire, I heard. Get out.
Yeah, he and Jim Herzog are both gone as of December 3rd.
Yeah, who are they going to replace with
Our
him?
new members are Tommy Spiegel and,
The girl, McNair?
yeah, Angela McNair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have a full complement again.
But the interesting thing is that the school district runs, their elections are the same time period, but they swear in the first week of December,
Right.
whereas other government waits until the first week of January.
Yeah, we don't get sworn in not until January 6th here, so.
So you have a new school board in place right now.
Our first meeting will be Wednesday.
Okay,
actually.
Ed, I have one more question I see.
Okay?
Are you guys going to be traveling, to go to the conferences anymore?
Well, I think if conferences come up that are beneficial, that's pretty much the president's call. As far as, I used to be on a special program with the PSBA where I had to go to Washington and meet with Kelly and Toomey and those guys. You have to be there. If you're the representative, you need to be there to talk to them so that you have a face-to-face with them. But for the most part, if there is some traveling, usually one person will go and that person can bring back the information for everybody else. That's kind of like the way it's been.
Not that one year, that Jenny McCurry, remember her?
Janine, yeah. Well, she was networking, and she thought she was doing it the right way. She had a good heart. She tried real hard, and everybody knew her. I made one trip, and the folks from the Pennsylvania delegation asked me where she was. So no, she was networking when she went to those things. That's for sure.
You don't like the conferences?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
Sometimes I think you gotta go though, but, and even when I was on there, they were doled out very carefully.
Yeah, but...
Everybody got one
I did
and-
for 20 years, I traveled.
Pardon?
I did for 20 years.
Well, we used to go to what they called the National School Board which was very,
SBA.
I'll tell you what, here's one of the things I've learned in government, and I don't want to be branded as somebody who likes to trip travel, but sometimes when you don't go to these conferences, and you come in here and you're thinking you understand government and government financing, you really don't. You don't even understand the legislative process. And a lot of these, like with the League of Cities now is what I deal with, not the school boards, but the League of Cities, and when you were a councilman,
Yeah.
they will teach you how to be a councilman. Not, you say, well, how do they teach you? Well, they teach you how a budget works, what a budget means to a government. It's not the same thing as what it means to a private business. It has legal ramifications. Okay, that's why when you see Ed, okay, in the budget to the school district, that is the authorization for people to spend money that has been agreed upon. And you learn that, but you also make some interesting contacts, you learn other problems.
Hey, I'm going to go and let somebody else call.
Go ahead. But
All right, thanks.
It's not always all fun and games like people think,
Now, and just, I was going to say, my take from business is going to seminars,
Yeah.
Right.
and we sit through the seminars.
Sure.
But I've always found that there is a better exchange or gathering of information during lunch and dinner and the breaks when people leave the room and go stand outside.
Find mutual problems.
Yeah.
Better get them ready.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling.
Hello?
Hello,
Hey, Mark.
how are you?
All right, not too bad. But, guys, I gotta really agree with that gentleman that called before. The roads are terrible. I mean, let's get real. From the east side all the way down to the bayfront, Parade Street might be clean, State Street might be clean, but our streets over on the east side has not been touched, period. Okay, so...
I think a better assessment would be after tonight and
Yeah,
tomorrow.
give them a little time.
Because even with the odd even, parking, it really takes them 2 days, almost a 2-day cycle.
Yep.
So, and we did have a lot of snow.
Didn't stop snowing for 2 days either.
Oh,
Yeah, so I really, I guess in all fairness,
Yeah.
that it would be, maybe Wednesday would be the day to really judge what has happened.
Tell you what, I live on 13th Street, okay? And I'll tell you to come over here on Friday, and I'll bet you there's not been a plow on this street.
To tell you the truth, where on 13th, and I'll drive by before I come to work. 13th,
600 block of East 13th Street.
600 block, 13th.
13th
Yep.
Ave.
Yep, and you'll see that it's not plowed. It's never plowed over here. And you ain't got to just come to 600 block. You can go all the way up to the 20th block. You can go all the way down to the 2nd block.
Well, what I'll do is I'll just, when I leave my house before I come to work in the morning, I'll just swing up that way, come across.
Do you have a lot of problem with cars parked or anything?
No, we don't have no cars. I mean, the parking authority make sure they come by and ticket you if you park on the wrong side of the street, but we don't see no plows, and that's the whole reason to ticket you, But, I mean, that's just one of my gripes, I guess. I don't, Mr. Brzezinski, I don't send my kids to Erie School District, so I guess I really don't have a right to say anything about the school district.
So you
But
have
I
a
do.
right.
Yes, you do. You're a taxpayer.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I have to disagree with everyone is equal because the kids that go to Collegiate Academy are not as equal as the kids that go to East High School. I mean, it's obvious.
I think that was my statement.
Everyone's not equal. Okay? So we can't treat when kids start taking the responsibility for their actions and their parents start taking responsibility for their actions, that's when things will change. It's not just, the whole system's screwed up. That's why I don't send my kids to public school. It's a shame when I moved up here, I was actually told by the city police not to send my kids to public school. Now, when the police tell you don't send your kids to the school, you know there's a problem. But, I just wanted to throw that out there. I hate Kaz.
Yeah.
They did clean that stuff up at 610.
Yeah, they did get that, you said, right?
Yeah, they cleaned that stuff up, and
Yeah, they cited it, once again, that when I talked to the guy that, the officer that went up there, you have to cite him and everything else, and it's, the problem is growing. We were just talking about it a little bit here, but it's amazing when you drive around town now, it's just getting out of hand.
Well, I want to thank you because I know you kept on it. It might have took a month to get done, but it's out of there.
Well, you know,
and I don't want to keep guys tied up. I just have one more comment, and that's about Cat TV. I'm very disappointed that the city only cut them that much money. And what I suggest Cat TV to do is to charge for Raw on the Shore, charge for Erie Days or whatever it's called, charge for all them programs they cover. If the city doesn't want to give them money, I mean, the city finds money for other things, but here we have something that the community needs, wanted to give them, $25,000? Ended up giving them $75,000, I guess. I mean, $75,000 is nothing what them people need. And I just hope that they start to charge, let them guys not cover Raw on the Shore or celebrate Erie one time.
Can I ask you where your kids go to school?
My kids?
Yeah.
My kids are homeschooled.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys, I'll let you go.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, with Cat TV, one of the things they may have to do is, maybe, it was brought up at one of the meetings that maybe we can get Gannon to, take them under their wing. Gannon's looking to expand their communications.
Another.
Hello.
Right.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
How are you?
Very good. This is for the snowplow drivers. I have no problem with the snowplow being done. I live in a 3400 block on East Avenue. They came by twice yesterday. But I had one thing that irks me something terrible. Thursday or Friday night, I can't remember which one it was. 3 plows, one back to back to back, were coming down East Avenue, and they were shooting sparks. Now, you mean to tell me that the plow drivers don't radio in and say, we don't need 3 plows on this street, and utilize it somewhere else?
What I did notice, which is unusual, and I meant to ask the new guy, Mr. Zisk. It seemed like in the old days once they got into that platoon system, they would stay on East 38th Street or stay on East Avenue the whole shift. What I have noticed, and maybe I'm not looking at it right, it seems like they are breaking off once in a while. So what you might do is see them going up certain streets, and so they're not keeping their blades up, they're dropping them. But they are hitting, on Sunday yesterday, I was surprised, and I live up on Stanley, they actually hit my street on a Sunday, and it wasn't in the middle of the night either. So, I'm surprised that they're out there. It seems like they're actually changing their agenda. I used to yell at them, I'd say, you're hitting the same street, when you're done with that, and the snow's abating, why don't you hit a couple of side streets at random, have a secondary list. So, you know what, I'll check on it, but I want to get together with them because I think the plan looks a lot better this year. And I'm not, I was one of the big complainers 2 years ago. I'll be truthful with you.
I got a question for Ed.
Yep.
Instead of implementing new things, why don't you come up with a plan for taxpayers who are over a certain age? I'm 80 years old, and I'm still paying school taxes. Why don't you come up with a plan to get some of these seniors who are struggling not to pay school taxes anymore, or half their taxes, whatever?
There are programs in the hopper now. Right now, there are some programs where you can, I believe it's $500, where you can volunteer to come in to the library at one of our schools, spend so many hours, and they'll take $500 off of your tax bill.
And what if you're not able to?
Well, that's the fly in the ointment. We have to figure out how to do that. There's talk downstate again that they might be taking the burden off the homeowner and maybe putting on some form of sales tax. These are all things that, I feel sorry for you. If you had children, then you use it at one time. But there's
I sent my kids to both private schools all my life.
There's a good chance that you never use the schools, and a big part of the biggest part of the real estate taxes in the city come from the school.
Well, I think switching it to a combination,
We're trying to.
Would punish, and I don't like to use the term punish, but when I'm young and I'm working, it's gonna punish me better, with the sales, with more of the property and the sales mix. Whereas when you get a little older, you're taking the onus off the house, and your sales use goes down a little bit. So yeah, that is a break for the seniors.
Well, they're afraid of it because it's much more mercurial to try to put a sales tax on there because you don't know how much people are going to spend. They know how much they're supposedly to get from your house or my house or your house.
Virginia has a system where they freeze the taxes on the elderly. If nobody in that household is working, then your taxes are frozen until you sell the house.
Wow.
But the assessment is adjusted, to reflect the current. But they may have changed that, but when my father-in-law moved to Virginia, it's one of the things that really got his attention, that when you can't have anybody to work.
I also think there's too many sports in the schools nowadays.
I think I addressed that earlier, sir, when I told you that we're talking about maybe trying to co-op some of these programs. Where you're right, every school does not have to offer every sport. We try to, but we don't have the participation.
Wasn't that a PIAA problem? It was when I was on there.
Right, it was PIAA. PIAA is starting to relent now. They're starting to let us
I
do
think they have to, really.
what they call a co-op now. So you might have Easton Vincent with a golf team or a tennis team or whatever. It's in the works, and there's some pretty good educational minds that are working on it right now so that nobody gets hurt. We don't, we had a plan to drop sports at Central a couple of years back. Mr. Picardo brought it in, and it didn't fly. There's a need to consolidate programs, but there's also a need to make sure that all kids have the opportunity to be in those programs, and that's what we're trying to accomplish now.
Okay, I'll let somebody else talk.
Thank you, sir.
See, I remember when I was on the board, we had the academy problem.
Ooh, yeah.
The first problem was PIA got this thing, they don't want to create super schools. So, how do we treat the kids at academy? No way could we put a football team in. We didn't have the numbers.
Exactly.
Thank you for calling.
I'd like to talk about the snow plowing before I get into the school. The snow plowing up here in Southeast Erie, they're doing a fantastic job. And the gentleman was yelling about them on East Avenue with the sparks flying, 2 or 3 trucks. They plow in tandem so they make one sweep. And the reason why the sparks, the blades aren't set at the proper heights. They have them too low, and what that does is wipes the main blade off the plows.
I'll tell you what, though, the
Around or replaced.
the streets are down this year, John. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, no, the price is that the wear bar replacement goes up a little bit.
Right. And they should be set about a ½ inch before the bottom, but the roads are so uneven you don't know what you're going to get, and they do hit a lot of the manhole covers.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the schools.
Okay.
The reason why the schools are in such terrible shape is because of the past director, O'Rourke, and all the way down through the line. They got rid of all of their teaching facilities, like tech. They got rid of that. For what? I have no idea. They said Academy was not fit to sustain students because all of a sudden Mercyhurst was going to buy it. Then Mercyhurst did not buy it because they found out they would not own the stadium down there below. So Garvey at the time forgot about it, and then they went and put all the money back in the Collegiate Academy, and they draw all the select students up there. That's why all the other schools are not doing as well. And now one other thing this last school board did, they sold, or the director, they sold these schools, and what did they do? They let John Elliott from the Great Area Development Corporation buy it, and now they're going to rent from him. They don't know what they're doing. They can't see their hands from the forest. And that is my opinion.
But we know one school was sold to credit, didn't...
Well, the Erie Federal Credit
Erie
Union
Federal
bought
Credit
Glenwood,
Union. Okay.
and Sarah Reed bought Hamilton. Where's John Elliott coming here, sir?
He has got the schools, he's picked up the schools, and now he's going to rent them back to the school district. Isn't that so?
What school,
I
though?
don't think so. What school?
I think the one up on across from Upper Peach Street there.
Oh, that's Glenwood, and the Erie Federal Credit Union purchased that. They're going to have their a regular full-size credit union in front and their administrative offices in the back.
Well, just like you're going to need $300 million, and you want people to come in and buy and give to you. You want to float another bond and strap the taxpayers more. You know, you're talking about this bill in Harrisburg. The main thing is there, the teachers' pensions have to be addressed, their salaries have to be addressed, and they have to start contributing to their health care.
They're doing that, sir.
Very little. The city of Erie is doing it too for the fire and police, and it's a minuscule amount of money. Are they going to be into this Obamacare? No, right?
I don't
As
know.
far as the health carrier.
No, we're a school district is
Right, you're
self-insured.
self-insured just like
Right.
the city of Erie is self-insured.
Right.
So there's another thing. Who's paying for the self-insurance? The taxpayer.
Well, we're getting a bigger chunk from every working person in the district. And I can't give you exact figures because we just...
I know when I was on school board.
You know, as
teachers
far
were
as the
paid.
students being prepared for school, by the way, my son was in the collegiate band that won all the honors. They went to New Orleans and everything else, and he played in a band in Pittsburgh. And my daughter, these children were on the high honor rolls. My daughter went to West Virginia, West Liberty State, to be a dental hygienist. When she got down there, she found out the sciences that the teaching in Erie does not even meet half the standards of the other states. I made her.
General Electric has helped us an awful lot with that. They've pumped in a lot of money from the grant to build up our science program. I don't know exactly if
Well,
your
this was back
daughter
in the,
went to
the
collegiate.
80s.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
when I went to school, we had counselors that told us what our thoughts should be and what classes we should take. We don't have counselors like that anymore, do we?
Counselors are in the schools, and I've been working trying to get them out of the paperwork syndrome that has been placed on them. There are times where they were verifying lunch applications,
Yeah.
which is nothing that, when I was a counselor, I refused to do it. I almost got
They
in
didn't even
trouble.
have up-to-date college guides.
Right, yeah.
Well, see, when I went to school, a guy by the name of Harry Mishler was the counselor.
Okay.
And he directed, he'd call you in to look at whatever your courses were going to be. You wanted to get your slots, and he'd steer you to the right courses.
Sure.
I don't think they do that anymore in school.
Yeah, they do. It's hit and miss a little bit just because of the burden of work. They've been cut back, but they do a good job. What we need to do today is we need to get the parents involved so that the children in 5th and 6th grade start looking at algebra, as an example,
That is
in
too
8th
late.
grade.
In my opinion, that is too late. You should be teaching languages and everything else when the kid is in 2nd or 3rd grade. That's when their mind is open and their brains are like a sponge.
Good point.
Get to 6th and 7th grade, you're past your prime.
Well, actually, one of the programs we tossed that was very beneficial was preschool.
Oh, it's coming back now, because that's
See,
where the money
my
is.
kid was, my one daughter was under what they called the test run. They were supposed to track them, but they never really did. But today, if you come into kindergarten, you don't have at least 1 or 2 years of preschool, you're lost.
Behind. Yeah.
One other
You're off the
comment
ball
before
already.
I'll hang up.
Sure.
I heard the mayor's executive assistant on the Cortex talk show. The mayor ought to have Fred Rush go on there because it's like talking to, well, never mind. But he should have Fred Rush as somebody who knows what's going on in the city.
I heard Jimmy wants to come on my show.
Well, that's because she's a good looker.
No, I mean, I heard Jimmy wants to come on my show.
Well, if she does, I hope she has her shield in front of her.
Yeah, how about Jimmy, though? You think he'll come on?
I'm sure maybe he'll dress up like Santa Claus. But he's on vacation this week, so maybe I'll be able to get him. But you know, the whole thing here, she didn't even understand a question about they should have a license for the plowers and the the lawn services in town, so you'll be able to keep them. You'll know who's in the area.
I think the new council is looking at stuff like that. I know I'm very receptive to it. I think we have to start looking for new ways, and just today, people are complaining about our plow drivers, and what do I see? All these private guys
Shoving snow onto the street.
But it's snowing in the middle of an island.
right after our guys went through these streets,
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I just
Well, the junk haulers used to have to buy a license.
unlike Mark, I don't have to worry about the paper doing a bad story on me because I don't care.
That's right.
I really don't care at my age. You know what?
They put $55 million
About doing the right
in
thing
Upper
now.
Peachtree for sidewalks and everything. You go down there Tuesday or Wednesday and see if they're shoveled.
Where's that?
Peach.
Peach Street.
Oh,
The $55 million project from Interstate 90 all the way down to 38th Street.
They're walking down Peach as we speak. It happened to me when I was coming down here.
Was there any snow in the sidewalk?
Of course, nobody touched them.
All those businesses
remember
and
this
everything else?
Yeah.
I won't tell you the merchant's gone, but there used to be a prominent car salesman on the corner of 26th and French Street. He used to bag off all the time to the school board. Oh, these kids, they never walk anywhere. So I went over one day and I said, is it any wonder you're plowing out your car lot and the snow's on the ticket window side of the southwest corner of the Erie Stadium? I said, where are they going to walk,
Chuckamilly.
What we need down there is a city council that has some teeth and make a law or an ordinance and enforce it. Nothing like 2 weeks notice, certified mail.
Well, you know what the trouble is, John, and Mark will tell you this, and Eddie was a councilman too. We can make all the rules in the world down here, but under our form of government, if the administration doesn't get the people to enforce them, it gets pretty tough.
That's where the problem is, the fifth
Yeah,
floor
well-
and all the bobbleheads sitting on city council.
I mean, I think we got rules right now that we don't really go after.
You've got rules that have been back there since the 1800s and have never been revisited.
And some are very valid yet to this. A lot of our problems, the laws are already in place.
That's true. In the city of Erie, you cannot take a bath nude.
Well, I kind of agree with that one. I want to.
I don't know if there's such a term
There's an ordinance in a book.
is selective enforcement.
Yeah.
Right.
Ruby was one that she was going through them one time, and she was eliminating all the old ones. There were some classics. in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Don't race with a streetcar.
I have my doubts of Ruby. She thought a couple of male polar bears could make a bear.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
All right,
Hey.
thanks for calling.
I like this guy. He's
He's a fire.
Well, there was I was reading a book yesterday, and it talked about people violating laws, such as these people have violated, this group has violated like RICO and other things, and it's talking about it, but you can't get the DA to move against them.
Kind of like the garbage fee.
But it's just an issue of what they actually said was that, and it was talking really about political people. It said as individuals, the government comes down as a hammer with all of their attorneys on an individual that violates the law. But when somebody is prominent, that hammer can't be found.
it's
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
you rap on there's an old saying. You rap on the window with a sponge. The man forgot his change. So your mind. Hey, I got your change. I'm ready to hear it.
Right.
So use a
Thanks for
soft
calling.
Hello, is this the talk show there?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm calling in regards to Cascade Street, near the tracks where the old Riley Stoker is. Hey, who should be responsible for shoveling those sidewalks, although the plan is gone, with these poor kids walking up and down the street are going to get hit by a truck or a car or something?
Property owner.
Yeah, it's the property owner.
Whoever that is, whether it's a bank or
That's enforcement again, sir.
yeah. Where does this right around?
Cascade tracks.
It's Riley Stoker. They're gone now. It's vacant.
Cascade Street.
Yeah, it's near the tracks, like the tracks up to about 15th Street or something
Yeah.
on both sides. I mean, the snow's just horrendous there, and these poor kids are going to get clipped by a car walking on the street. I mean, there is, they're out in, they've closed their business here.
That's the trouble, where you do have sidewalks and the businesses are closed, it's still the, property owner.
Who would look into that? Would you guys look into
I
that?
can look into it and they'll cite it, but, a lot of times, I don't want to get Ed fired up, but one of the biggest complaints we used to get was the school district too, once in a while.
Oh, I just worry about these young kids walking up and down Cascade Street, and that snow's just sky high up there, and it would, so if you could look into it,
Point taken.
thank you very much. Keep on doing the great work that you guys are doing too.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
I'll bring it up and see, do I have to research who the owner is and.
Well, here's a good thing about the school, the Glenwood School.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably qualified under a LERTA for a rehab
Oh, yeah.
that they're doing.
We got a good buck for it.
But
it's,
ultimately, that's coming back,
on tax rolls.
and I think the LERTA is shorter in that area. I don't think it's as long. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Mark, we're talking about, revenue in that, for the city. I have a great idea. We have all these refugees coming into Erie that we're paying, taxpayer paying, 6 months their rent, paying their bills. Why don't we charge these people $100 a piece when they're brought into Erie, and that will offset the expenses. Instead of us spending millions of dollars to take care of them, why don't we charge them something when we let them come in here to Erie? I mean, we're bringing them in at record numbers every month.
Yeah, but that's
Not working.
That's at the federal. It's at the federal level. But and I'm going to say this: how times have changed, and I hear. I was probably around, I think, 8 years old when my grandfather passed away. But I hear the stories, and you guys, would also remember this, that when your parents came or your grandparents came, that it was almost against family policy to accept a handout. It just did not happen. And everybody strived to become a citizen, a part of the community, that all the kids went to school, that everybody went it was almost an obligation when you came out of school. You went into the military, and just all of that is gone. I think some of the first questions that people ask today when they come to this country is, where's my free cell phone?
Well, you know what, they're brought in, the government brings them in through qualified agencies, which they use, but it's really the government that's fueling this, so if anybody's gonna pay the $100, it's gonna be you and I the other way.
Ultimately, yeah.
It'd be on my left side of my pants, which is the federal side.
Sure. It used to be the American dream to come to America. It's more of a nightmare for these folks now because they have a language barrier and they are actually in competition with so many of our native people that can't find employment. So it's not the American dream that it used to be. And hopefully, I go back to corporate greed, we get more work being done in America, everybody will be happier because everybody will be working.
In fact, when the immigrants come, I remember reading about the old stories, they were ticked off at them. But they took the lower jobs.
Sure.
That, the guys in the foundry that moved the stuff around, and then they worked themselves up into the position where.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Well, what is missing, and I do see this as a repeat of the early 1900s, but what's missing is the explosive growth of industry or employment opportunities. That's gone. We still have the people moving to this country for all the reasons that are on the Statute of Liberty.
Erie went from 100 below 100,000 in the early turn of the century to, by the time the end of World War II was here, we were at 138,000. But the area was growing. Now you take those same people who moved out to Mill Creek, and then you look at the county is flatter than a doornail for 20 years. So we got no growth in this whole county.
Right.
All you're doing is shifting people from Erie to Summit, Mill Creek to Summit, Summit to Fairview. That's all we're doing. Where when these immigrants came, years ago. The town was actually growing physically, and to some degree, the county was mostly rural, but it started to grow. Then all of a sudden, we lost all that. Because if you look now, the growth was the 280,000 that's in the county.
Sure.
You know, including the city, but that's all good, that's flat now.
All right, and we just received the
Aye,
1
sir.
minute that
High
we're,
five.
that we're wrapping up, but
Let's let, yet,
Well, I just want to wish everybody a healthy and happy holiday and a prosperous next year. Stay tuned, because we're going to work as hard as we can to get the good things happening. And remember, you're going to be sworn in
You're
January and
sworn in.
sworn at the next day.
that's okay, that comes with it.
It'll be fun.
You know what, though, 3 of us have all held office, so, you know, it's one of the best experiences you ever had, though.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
we would like to have you back again at some point in the future when
Sure.
things are progressing.
Yeah, give me a call. Like I said, we hopefully sometime in January, this dream is going to start
Well, I
coming
think-
together a little bit.
I think you're on the right track, because I think one of the areas we collapsed on was vocational ed.
Sure.
Then we got rid of, like, the School of the Arts, we got rid of a lot of the programs that we had that were very unique to this area. We were turning out kids in areas that, I can remember when I went to Tech, kids from the county were, it was like going to Collegiate Academy, they wanted to go there.
Sure.
We gotta get back to that, because not everybody should go to college.
You know, and if we do this right, we could even take students from the other townships.
Right? No,
Because
not-
we'll have it.
hey,
It's a
not
mini
every-
community college.
Not everybody needs to go to college.
Right, exactly. There'll be a vein there where if they want that, they can get those remedial courses to, 'cause that's what they're doing now. A lot of our kids are going, and Mercer is saying, well, before you take English, you better take remedial 101, so that you can handle English when you get there.
Yeah, freshman English is a cut course. Separated, hey, I remember that when I was a kid. You get through that, you knew that and intermediate accounting, and you pretty much knew you were okay. And philosophy of God, that was the third one.
Hello, Father Dupre, huh?
The three cut courses. Get through them and you're pretty much for sure that you had it.
Well, guys, Merry Christmas.
Mark, same
Happy
to you.
New Year.
Thanks for having
Merry
me.
Christmas, and
Yes.
it's always good to have you up here. You know, I admire you, because a lot of people wouldn't come up.
Oh, it's a good time with you guys. I knew I'd be comfortable.
And all of our viewers, Merry Christmas,
Definitely, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy
Holidays,
New Year,
and Happy
definitely.
New Year's.
Stay healthy and happy.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
I can remember,
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.